Hello, everybody. This is Miss Abby. I am so excited to come to you. I have been really busy trying to work out some internet problems and haven't made as many videos as I normally make in a week. So I thought I'd sit down and just do something really fun and try to do it pretty quick. What you're going to need for this, even though I don't even have it planned what I'm going to do, is a piece of watercolor paper and maybe some chalks. You don't have to have the chalks, but I'm going to kind of show that to you just so you know you can use them a different way than we've ever used them at school. And then a pan of watercolor. This watercolor is old. I don't even think it's name brand. I put a couple chunks of color in places where I was missing color. And some watercolor brushes. I have a multimedia brush, a round brush, and a small round brush. And I may grab another one, I'll let you know, and some paper towel. And I think I mentioned a pencil and a little bit of water in case you need that to rinse your brush. And I'm looking around for my spray bottle. I think I left it. Yep. I have a spray bottle, and the reason I have a spray bottle is to show you, this is an old hair bottle that I had, and I use it when I wet my watercolor. And as you see, I don't have a yellow here. The yellow is gone and there's green in there. So I'm going to use my pastel for the yellow probably if I use it. And then I just give it a little spritz. So parents, this is a quick way to wet the color down. You can run it under the sink, but I don't recommend it too much with little kids because most of the watercolors that you buy, they run out into the sink. And so if you spray, then you can keep it. Now I'm going to move this off to the side a little bit because I want room for my paper. I'm going to get my pencil in my hand. First, we're going to map out what we're going to do. I was thinking it would be kind of fun to do like a monster or something like that. So let's see. Maybe like an alien. My pencil's not very sharp either. Isn't that funny? You kids will know that about me from school. I don't keep the pencil sharpened because I feel like for the most part, we don't need super sharp pencils. We just need something that where the lead sticks out. And I don't even have an eraser, so I can't make any mistakes today. All right, so let's do an alien. We'll start off with like a little head. Maybe we want to draw kind of a bumpy face like this. And you know, you could do more of an alien or you could do a monster. Whatever. I'm going to give mine these antennas. And let's see, some big eyes. This actually looks like a giraffe. So if you want to make yours a giraffe, you could. Okay, and then maybe, I don't know. Do we want him to have a nose? I don't know. Let's see, maybe kind of a weird mouth. Let's give him one tooth on the top and one tooth on the bottom. And maybe he has like cat eyes. I don't know. We'll see. And then a long neck, maybe a squiggly shoulder. And he might need his arm coming up. Maybe he's giving his alien peace sign. And maybe his other arm is coming down over here. I don't know if I like that. So get your alien. I'll give you just a moment to make your monster or your alien the way that you'd like. And we may add some wrinkles in, or maybe this alien has some sort of a space necklace on that has radar system or something on it. I think he looks pretty cute. I'm going to change, maybe bring this down. Make him a little less wobbly. Okay, so we have a basic alien. He's waving. And we're going to do kind of a cool background maybe. So first one I want to show you is how you can use your pastels. Now, he's going to probably be greenish. I'm going to make him green and greens and blues. So I'm probably going to do the opposite color on the color wheel in the background. So that would be sort of a red color. I'm going to probably go for an orange just because red and green always reminds me of Christmas. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to just do a little bit of orange around the outside. I'm just laying in just a little bit of color around where my alien's going to be. Maybe he has like a strange extraterrestrial glow. So you can even use the side too if you just want to lay in a little bit of color. You can do that. It's kind of fun to make some of the lines dark and some of the lines light. And then I am going to go ahead and have you get a big brush, a flat brush. And we're just going to kind of go in here like this. And then maybe we'll throw in a little bit of red. Just to kind of intensify it a little bit. Hope you can see this good. I haven't checked my view. Yeah, it looks pretty good. Okay. Might move him over a little. Just hit it with a little red around different places. Now, I am going to have you pick this up and do, well, let's not pick it up. Let's use it the way it is. Get a flat brush like this. This is like a big flat brush, but if you have a little smaller one, that's okay too. You could use one that's this size if you wanted. Okay? Just something that's flat. And usually when it's wet, this is a kind of old one, but it's really pointed at the end. But something like that. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take a little bit of water. Ah! Sorry about that, friends. Hitting the camera. Take a little bit of water. And you're just going to smear it around a little bit. And you can use chalks a lot like watercolor. And a lot of people don't know that. So when you add that fluidity in there, it sort of smears it around. And wherever you drew, there'll be like a little bit of texture. Okay, so we will have some little texture lines in here. We're just taking our, we don't have to be super careful. We'll come back in there and fix that. I mean, you can be super careful if you want, but I think sometimes being a little messy can be kind of artistic. And this is watercolor paper. I'm not sure if I mentioned that. I think I did, but now you could just use regular paper if you wanted, but it's not going to hold the water. And sometimes watercolor paper just does, it just has a nicer finished texture. Okay, and up here I'm just dry brushing. Let's see how that looks. Oh, I went right over his ear. Oops. Well, it happens. We'll just have to make that ear darker, I guess. Okay, so now we're going to kind of let that set in there for a minute, and while that's going, we'll let the background kind of dry. I'm going to get in here on this ear, though, or this antenna. We're going to let that dry a little bit, and we're going to hit our alien with some yellow. Now, let's think about what the brightest parts might be. Maybe he has a nose. Well, I didn't draw his nose in there, but maybe he's just kind of a cool... Maybe he has kind of a normal nose. I don't know. We'll see what happens. I'm going to hit some yellow on his cheeks. I'm actually going to do his eyeball yellow, too, because that's kind of cool and creepy. Maybe on the bridge of his nose and on his forehead are the places where he might be the lightest. And maybe on the edges of those antenna, tips of his fingers, maybe this part of his hand. Okay. Okay, we're just going to give him a little bit of color. But light. Starting lights to darks. Maybe right there on his eyelid too. Okay, we may end up covering a lot of that up. but just to give ourselves a little background. Okay, so then let's take another lighter green, and let's lay in some of that mid-tone, the mid-color, which is basically the most of the hue that he is. Okay, don't push too hard, just a little bit of light. We're going to do some in the watercolor. So we're going to lay. We don't want our monsters to be spooky. We want them to be friendly, probably. I don't think I'd like to meet a mean, spooky monster. I'd like to meet a friendly monster. So we're just going to lay down some color in here. We might lose a little bit of our drawing, but that's okay. We don't want to spend too much time worrying because we're going to sort of wash that all out. He looks kind of crazy right now because we didn't fill it all in. And I don't want you to fill it all in perfectly because it defeats the purpose of our activity today. All right, fun and simple. All right, so then I'm going to take my round brush, which looks like this, my kind of big round brush, and I'm going to water that in a little. As you can see, it goes pretty quick. I'm going to try to use a little bit less water than I did with the background. And it's okay to leave some of those places chalky and bumpy. That gives him some sort of a texture. Just a little bit more water. I don't want to overload the paper though, because we're going to work really fast. Now, if we were working, you know, for an hour on this, you could make it nice and wet and smooth and then let it dry. But we're not going to wait around that long. And I want you to see that you can do things pretty quickly. A little bit more water. Let's get this chin. You go ahead and do yours, blend yours in. And your skin on your monster could be blue, it could be purple. I mean, it really doesn't matter. It's your choice. You're the artist, so you make those artistic choices. Now, I picked this sort of color to make it really vibrant and bright. And I've been guilty of doing too many girly pictures, so I thought it'd be kind of fun to do something that maybe the boys would enjoy too. Now, your alien young ladies could have earrings, could have hair, could have a ring on their finger or painted alien fingernails. It doesn't matter. You can make it your own. But I actually kind of like pushing myself to do things that are not necessarily girly. Oh, he's coming along. I'm loving it. Now, I am going to do one little trick. Now, if you don't like all of that powder left on your paper, which can get messy, you can pick it up at this point and you're just going to give it like a little tap. Okay? I'm going to do mine on this paper towel or this napkin because my workspace is white and I don't want to get it everywhere. I should have put down a messy paper, huh? At school, we have messy papers that we put down when we're going to be messy. But the kids will tell you, parents, that at school, I don't worry too much about messes for the most part. As long as we pick our mess up when we're done, I am fine with creative messes. Okay, so I tapped that powder off, the excess powder, because now we're going to kind of maybe move into doing some watercoloring. So we've just laid down this green. It's almost to the point where it's dry. It's still a little bit damp on the paper, but enough that we can work. So you could continue. You could go on with your pastels if you wanted, but I'm actually going to work on a little watercolor technique. And so I'm going to take my round brush that I showed you, and I'm going to maybe lay in some greens. That one looks almost the same. I'll neaten up some of those edges around the eyes. And I'm going to go to this dark green too. And I'm going to start laying in some of the dark shadows. Maybe there's a little dark here. Maybe he has some sort of a weird little wrinkle around his smile. And really, watercolor is about layering colors with patience, of course. I'm going to make this little part under his chin a little darker. I'm going to mix just a touch of black with my dark green, and I'm going to bring that darker color right here under his chin on this side of his neck. And it's going to hit that necklace thing that he's got, and it's going to come down under here. And I'm going to add a little more water to that to sort of fan it out a little bit. And the kids know that when I teach watercolor, that we've done a lot of really kind of serious watercolor. We spent quite a bit of time doing Aztec designs, and the kids' work is just fantastic. We will be gathering that up and getting it back to you. If it's not already been sent home or the teachers have it, they're going to pack it up and get it for you. And then I'm going to bring a little shadow behind the arm down here. I hope you can see this. I'm not really sure exactly what's coming on the screen. I'm going to go ahead and hit that, clean that up a little bit, and then I'm just going to kind of fan it over here like this. And this is really quick. This is a quick watercolor technique versus a very long and detailed one. Okay. Let's do some darks on the face. Let's see, we might have some shadow here above this eyelid. Maybe on this one to see the wrinkles. Maybe he even has some little tiny wrinkles. I'm going to add, oh my goodness, I keep hitting my camera. So sorry, friends. Right here, with a little bit of black. I need to move this over maybe a little bit so you can see my palette. I've made a well here with some green, dark green, and a little touch of black, and added quite a bit of water to it to make it more fluid so that I can bring it in here. Now this is pretty wet, so it is going to make quite a bit of a pooling effect, but maybe he has some wrinkles on his forehead. Like E.T. Have you guys seen E.T.? Oh, I love that movie. Although when I was little and it came out, it scared me a little bit. But by the time it was over, I sure loved E.T. I wanted E.T. to come and visit me at my house so I could play with him. All right, so he's looking pretty good there. Let's see. We got to let some of this dry a little bit because it's going to start pooling. So we'll let that go there. I'm going to neaten up that edge just a little bit. We might go back with some black marker. I wonder what the side parts of an alien eye look like. Maybe we're going to be really intense. I'm going to dip into my black, put it over here. Yeah, I can tell by the way this watercolor is working that it's pretty. This one's not Crayola. All right, let's be a little crazy. Let's go in here and actually make this alien's eyeball black. I don't know, it may be too spooky. But aliens are aliens, so they might not have the same look on their eye as we do. Ooh, he's looking spooky now, isn't he? Let's give him like a lizard eye. Nice. Okay, and then I'm going to make the inside of his mouth black and leave his teeth uncolored at this point. Maybe he has a blue tooth. Ha! Let's give him some blue teeth. Maybe his teeth are blue. Okay, so we're going to let that go. This is starting to pool a little bit. It's okay. Let's just leave it alone for now. And maybe we can make our attention to this. I'm going to rinse my brush out, get it nice and clean. I'm going to take this paper towel and I'm going to make sure my brush has all of its paint out of it. See how it's not coming off? Oops, not coming off on my picture or on my paper towel. Okay, let's do this collar down here. I can't decide. I'm thinking I might do blue here. And I don't know what color the lights would be. Something different. I think maybe purple. So I'm getting a little blue. This blue is a little bit dark. It's interesting. This particular paint that I'm using, it seems to have what it feels like it's got a lot of gum arabic, which is a binder that they use to bind watercolor or to make it more fluid. So it has a sort of more pasty feel than I'm used to, but you know, we're all using whatever we got, so it's all good. Now, I'm actually going to take this blue and put it up here. I've got this blue. Oh, that must be the watercolor that I added in. That's from a tube. Okay, and then I'm going to put green in that, and I'm going to make a dark green with that. Really dark green. Okay, even darker than we used before. And I'm going to come in here and do some more tones. And at this point, maybe we're going to start giving him a little bit of lizard texture by patting our brush with that really dark color and putting in some skin texture on him to really make him feel like he is an alien. But you don't have to do that. You can do whatever you're feeling in the moment. I really wanted to just show you how much fun free painting can be with watercolor. Okay, and back here behind his arm, it could be darker. Okay, we'll do a few little touches here. In the places where there might be some shadows. These are just multimedia brushes. They're not super expensive. But you could use, look at it's making kind of a triangle shape. That eye is running, didn't it? We might have to go back and correct that a little bit. You can also lift watercolor if you're lucky. Lift it out to neaten up some of those edges if you have some fanning or some bleeding out there. You can go back in and pull it up with the dry brush. And it's not a big deal because this is an alien and we just don't know what he might be. Have all kinds of interesting things going on. While this is still wet, I'm going to add some black in right on that side of his nose. Under there. Okay. And I'm going to go back to that really dark, and I'm going to just kind of put some darks on this side. Show those scales over here. Not sure how I feel about his nose. Okay, now let's go on with a sort of medium color. medium. I'm adding a little bit of this sort of lightish green. And we're going to go back in there and we're going to add some of those lighter ones. Maybe even a little bit more water in there on the yellow tones. Okay, so when you're doing watercolor, friends, you have to kind of move yourself around. And sometimes I like to suggest when people work at home, now we can't always do this at school because of the numbers of kids, but that you work on a couple pieces at the same time so that you're not tempted to overwork. And I am pushing very lightly. I tell the students at school, you guys will remember this, you can tell your parents, that I tell them to, when you're watercoloring, it's like putting makeup on a fairy. You are not scraping the paper, but you're just lightly tickling the top of the surface. And you really don't want your brush to be pushed all the way down, ever. Because that makes, I mean, unless you're doing a really big piece or, you know, doing a wash, you want to have just the lightest touch so that you use just the tip of that brush. Because you can use this to make it really wide or you can use it really thin. And with such small pieces of paper, it's a good idea to keep it kind of small, thin. Okay, so he's got blue down here. I don't know if I want to do blue on his tooth now because that's blue. So let's go ahead and add, this purple is kind of odd, but let's put a little bit over here and see what we got. It's kind of pretty. It's more of a reddish purple than a blue purple. And I'm going to do those little things. And you don't even have to fill in all of the white. You can if you want, if it bothers you, but that's kind of fun. Okay. Let's see what else we want to do to him. He needs to dry a little bit. Maybe we should put some polka dots in the background. I wonder what would happen if we put this purple over that red. I can't guarantee that it's going to look good, but that's kind of fun. It actually just looks like a darker red. Let's do some polka dots in the background. Got to be careful though, because the paper's wrinkly and pretty wet, so we want to maybe use not as much water. And this one's moving on me, so I'm going to make it bigger. Remembering not to scrub the paper too much. Gentle circles. Just little layers of color. We're going to use the end of our brush and just tickle the paper. Ever so gently. Some of your circles could be bigger and some of them could be smaller. You don't want to go too crazy. As Miss Mary says, polka dots can get away from you. And I suppose you could use your finger like she did. That would be kind of fun. Although I'm sort of into it now. Doing it with the brush. So big ones and small ones. Now, if you're impatient, you could use a blow dryer and blow dry this to get it dried faster. It's pretty wet. But I want to do some outlining with black. So, let's finish up over here. It looks like I've missed a little section. I don't want to miss any of the sections. And he's saying, peace, man, peace. I come in peace. Fun, fun. I don't know. Maybe he looks more like Shrek than an alien at this point. Alright, let's get some black. We have to be careful. Actually, that looks... Oh, that's brown that I'm using. No wonder. I was using brown a minute ago. Alright. We might even need to use a smaller brush. Let's use our tiny detail brush. This little tiny round brush. Okay? And then we'll come in here and do some details. So you want to give him some eyelids. And I just am not happy with this paint. This is not my favorite paint. Yeah. I'll just outline him a little bit. I wonder what your alien's gonna look like. You'll have to show me. If you do this picture, you'll have to post it so I can see. Just remember, it's not always about the product. It's about the experience of working with watercolor and pastels together and the things you can do. You might be able to come up with something that's prettier than this, but this is a good experience for everyone to have. Just being silly on a piece of paper and learning about the media that you are exploring. Okay? So don't be afraid. You know, this is not going to go in a museum, but it was fun. And we need to have fun when we do art. And I'm just giving him an outline like a colored page would be. I'm having a little bit of concern about this blooming that's going on there. Not my favorite because I'm going so fast. Normally you would like wait for it to dry. And so some of that can be avoided if you wait just a little longer or use a hair dryer to blow dry it between layers. Now I'm going to do some little tiny fine lines with just the end. I'm going to give this guy some wrinkles, I think. Maybe he's been doing a lot of worry. Remember, he is an alien. So maybe he has wrinkles that go up and down. Like this. Yeah, I think he looks more like Shrek at this point, doesn't he? Okay, I'm going to go around this little guy right here. There's our cute little alien. Okay, I'm going to hit his eyeball. I'm going to neaten this up a little. And this one looks a little bit bigger than that one, so I'm going to bring this in a little. I have to say, I'm not super happy with this particular brand of paint. I need to find out what kind this was. I have so many different little ones around that I don't always pay attention. Okay. So maybe we need to hit this dots, if it's dry enough, with something to make it vibrant. Should we do yellow? Yellow pastel? I don't know how I feel about that. You could do some yellow on some of them. Don't want to push too hard because it is wet still. And maybe some blue. This has definitely turned out weird. But That's what happens when you work quick. All right. I might come in here with a little bit of this yellow on the alien. Oh, you know what? Maybe white. Maybe we should do white. See what happens here. Oh, yeah, I'm liking that. So we'll work into this wet just a little bit. Hit some of those high spots. Just to create some texture in there. I'm being very careful not to run into my black as much as I can. I'm going to get his forehead wrinkles. Nice. Nice, that looks better. It's looking cool and weird. Kind of messed up his nose there. All right, I don't know. Should we do something on his teeth? Or should we leave him white? I don't know. I kind of like him and I kind of don't. I wonder if he has more of a scraggly tooth. That looks like a pretty clean tooth. I don't know that aliens would have clean teeth, so maybe if we make it a little rougher. Okay, and the only other thing that I would do, which I didn't mention at the beginning, is maybe put a white dot for some shine. I'm going to use acrylic for that though. So if you have some white paint, when it dries, you could go back in with pastel, but since we don't have that kind of time. Nice. Okay, so there's our alien. We used pastel and watercolor paper to create an alien. So I hope you had a good time. I've enjoyed hanging out with you. And I hope that you are staying safe. I miss you very much. And don't forget to create every single day.